Okay. Had some folks in the waiting room. Welcome. Uh, we are going to give it just a second for other folks to chime in. We'd love to hear from you all, though, as you're joining. I believe I have the chat turned on for everyone. So let us know where you're joining from. We love to see how we're spread out all over when we have these webinars. Good group today. Colorado, California, two from California.
Nice.
Oh, South Carolina. I'm in South Carolina too. Welcome. Memphis, Pennsylvania. Wonderful. We have the whole span covered. Do we have anyone from outside of the US joined us today? Doesn't look like it yet. All
Nice.
right.
Everyone from a little all over. Well, we're just really appreciative that you're taking time to hang out with us today. And as everyone sort of pops in, Troy is going to get started on introducing us, the college, and then we're going to dive into the good stuff and talking about professional credentials and how you can stack your credits.
Yeah. So this is a great topic today, one that we're real excited about, and we've been talking a lot about here, sort of from the perspective of going back to our roots at ACHS, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. Before we get started, we'd love to hear from you all throughout the webinar today. Um, your microphones are turned off, but the chat is on. If you would do us a favor though, and make sure your chat is set to go to everyone instead of just hosts and panelists so that everyone can see your question, that would be great. And this is being recorded, so you'll get a recording of today's webinar afterward. And then for those that were not available or able to make it today, you'll get the recording as well for signing up. So we hope to hear back from you. But yeah, great group. So let's go ahead and jump in. So uh, real quick, what we're going to cover today, we always touch on who we are, who is ACHS, and what is our mission. I do see some familiar names in the crowd today, some existing students. So you may have heard this before. It's very important to us that we're always reminding ourselves of what our mission and vision are. So we'll look at that together. But really, the heart of today is looking at the benefits of incremental milestones, and we'll explain what that means. But how can we help our students get to where they want to be with as the most safety and benefit along the way? How can we make sure they get those relevant job skills, the content they're looking for in these bite-sized pieces that help accelerate career growth? So um, that's what we'll cover. We'll look at each of our program areas and which certificates and diplomas are available in each one of those, just to give you a feel for the things you can choose from. What I will say is if you are with us today and you've been looking at our website, maybe you're looking at our programs and it's overwhelming, and you don't know where to start, Amanda and I, we work with the admissions team. That is the sole function of what we do, is to help students land on something that fits them. So if anything we talk about today makes you a little bit more confused or overwhelmed, always reach out, set up an appointment with an advisor, and we'd be able to listen to what you're hoping to do and match you with one of these programs that's going to be the best starting point. So. And then we'll touch on, if we have enough time, how to become an ACHS student if you're not already. So just some key dates that we have coming up. So like I said, it's very important for us to always be reminding ourselves of what our mission and vision are, but also for those of you that are new to us to understand what we're trying to accomplish as an institution. So our mission, you'll see there, leading the advancement of evidence-based integrative health and wellness education through experiential online learning and sustainable practices. It's very important to ACHS, everyone that works here, that we are advancing this field. Um, you know, Depending on your outlook about, holistic health and wellness, some of us believe that that was the original medicine and we need to get back to that. Some of us believe it's a complement to current Western medicine. Wherever you land on that spectrum, if you want to join up with the ACHS group, we're going to be leading the advancement of that health and wellness education. We choose to do that online so more people have access to it. And we want it to be evidence-based and experiential, which is not always easy to do on an online platform. What we see the world looking like if we're accomplishing our mission is that this type of education is available to everyone on a global community. We feel like the getting everyone educated in these areas that they could take it out into their community and help each other live up a healthier life. That's our main vision for what we do here. So to break this down into today's topic, we'll look at experiential learning a little bit, but mainly we're going to be looking at leading the advancement. And one of the ways we do that is always looking at how we offer our programs, which type of programs we offer, and how they help people get where they want to go. So in a sustainable fashion so that we're not setting people up to waste time. So exciting topic today. We've been around at ACHS for over 45 years. A lot of people don't know that. It started out many, many years ago with our founding president, Doreen Peterson, who had this vision from the beginning. And now we've spread out all over the globe and have students and graduates from over 60 countries. So it's exciting to think about how far this information has reached over that 45 years. Like I said before, we specialize in online distance education. We have since the beginning, even before online programs were a thing, even before the internet, really. Distance learning was how ACHS delivered education. So we're accredited now by the Distance Education Accrediting Commission and have been since 2003. And a great partner to work with there. We also have a focus outside of our education sphere into improving the planet and the world around us. So we strive to stay in line with the principles of certified B Corp. That's a designation that we have sought out and received since 2016, which helps us keep in mind that people and the planet are our main goal in what we're trying to grow. And this last piece right here is really relevant today. So we offer accredited certificates, diplomas, and degree level programs. It's interesting in today's world how the focus of most traditional education starts out with a degree program. And then you'll see, as of late, especially since the pandemic, adding on these shorter certificate diploma programs that people can access online. We're actually the opposite and started out a little bit differently. We'll focus on that in just a second. So I'm going to kick it over to Amanda Heller. I didn't introduce us today. Amanda Heller, our Director of Enrollment Services. We work very closely together just to make sure everybody's taken care of. So tell us about the history of certificates and diplomas here at ACHF.
Well, this is funny because this just came up in a couple of conversations I had with students this week. Is ACH has literally been around since 1978, so 47 years. And ACHS started when Doreen Peterson founded our college, focusing on professional credentials that provide people a direct pathway to achieve their personal and professional goals. And so we have programs that we literally founded certificates in all the major modalities: herbalism, aromatherapy, nutrition, wellness and coaching, nutrition. And these different certificates also align with different professional outcomes and requirements in the professional industry as well. So the goal is to provide pathways to students, whether they're wanting to be entrepreneurs, open doors for pivoting job positions, opening doors for moving into just new employment. And honestly, a lot of our students are wanting to run their own businesses or collaborate with other holistic professionals and opening open like office spaces and such. So our programs were created to give students that direct knowledge and training and skill set to move that way and earn these credentials in a timely manner. And so they are all designed only requiring a high school diploma for undergraduate programs. And for students that already have a bachelor's degree or higher, I had a student today that has a master's degree. We have graduate level certificates. So these are professional ways to add on these niches and get from point A to point B really quickly. Did you have anything else sort of add on to that?
Yeah, so I
Little
keep
tidbits
wanting to
we both
jump
have.
ahead to the stuff we're going to talk about in a minute, but I think the key here that we look at as we're, we always have an eye on how higher ed in general is working throughout the country. And it's interesting to see the evolution of this. Like I said before, traditional institutions that usually start off with a bachelor's degree, and that's really all they have, or maybe bachelor's and master's, are adding these certificates to their program list at a huge rate.
Yeah.
So the fact that we started out with our certificates really speaks volumes to like how this is built over time. But the main thing that it comes down to for us when we look at stuff like this is we want to hear what your eventual goal is, both educationally and professionally, and then take an approach that allows you to build credentials over time and earn them along the way to your final goal. So um, when we talk about that, sometimes it can be a little murky. So we're gonna have a visual today that shows us that a little bit graphically to see how they stack up. You may have heard this referred to as stacking credentials, stacking credits, laddering, whatever you want to call it. We look at it as incremental milestones. Um, so we know that in the holistic health and wellness world, job opportunities are growing every year. This is becoming bigger and bigger in our world. But if you've gone to school to be an accountant, you might look in job boards and see accountant. But what we know is our students a lot of times are building their own business or they're adding on to an education that they've already received and want to get more diversified. Um, so the certificates and diplomas are really the best way to do that. All right.
So this is my favorite part is our focus areas because it's how ACHS over the last 47 years has maintained how unique we are in providing the training to students with the skills and knowledge they need to work in the field. First is all of our classes have practical lab assignments. And so students are getting actual hands-on clinical experience in the field. All of our classes are built with that in mind, even at a gen ed level. Even our gen eds have been designed to relate to the work you're doing. So that way you can apply these skills and knowledge immediately upon graduation. We want you to feel confident and prepared to start working in the field. And then, of course, providing the skills to get into that professional setting, whether it's start understanding state laws, scope of work, soft skills, your writing skills, preparing you to be an amazing employee, not just your self-employment skills. We want to make sure you're well-rounded. And of course, we're adaptive learning. So we incorporate tons of different types of mixed media in the classrooms. And we have multiple assessment styles. I've had students turn in assignments by providing videos. We have students that provide written and experiential learning through their assignments. It's really incredible that we take into account everyone learns different, and we want to provide the most opportunities to get you where you need to be academically and professionally.
One interesting thing is we had a last year in 2024 had an employer summit. So what that means is, we met with industry leaders from holistic health and wellness fields all over, and ask them, what are you looking for in a hire who you're looking to bring aboard? Um, and overwhelmingly, the answer is not a degree. They're most of the time are looking for these workforce skills. Can you apply what you have learned, not just have demonstrated that you finished a course? Can you think critically and take the information you have and apply it to a situation? So that's how we gear all of our programs. And sometimes we get the question from students of, well, what level does that start at? When do I start getting the workforce skills? From the very beginning? Like even the first step programs are geared to have that essence in it. Uh, so you may find that the career or the goal that you're going for, um, may or may not require an associate's, a bachelor's, but if you're building toward that and you find that, I'm now qualified for this opportunity, you have that flexibility to do that. So,
Sure.
uh, so tell us a little bit about the benefits of stacking credentials over and above what we've already talked about.
So honestly, when we're working with students, we're considering multiple factors. Your education background, your professional background, your personal interest, your story, your goals. I like to really also navigate where do you want to be in 6 months versus 2 years from now. And we know that your education is a big investment of time and money. So we're like, how can we help you achieve your goals step by step and create these really clear professional pathways and milestones for you to achieve your goal? Because for some of our students, they may earn a certificate or diploma program, and that is a fantastic fit for their current role or their professional goals and the kind of work they're wanting to do. And it allows you to take it and earn these credentials, even if your long-term goal is to finish out your bachelor's degree, for example. We can help you create a plan of action where you're literally earning 4 different professional credentials step by step on your way to your bachelor's degree. That provides you credentialing that you can add to your resume. If you're already building your business, you can add it to your business site. It allows you to use different titles and that professional experience to build your credibility with clients or the work you're doing. And so our goal is like, how can we help you achieve these things step by step? And honestly, think about like, how can you get in and get out and use these things to your benefit sooner rather than later? Because if we can help you get 4 different credentials before you actually graduate with your bachelor's degree, I mean, how you're just winning. It's a fantastic success story. Of course, it's not for everybody. If you already have some different certificates come in, again, your advisor would work on you to make this a plan that's unique to your situation and goals and figure out where is the best place for you to personally start. But we're all about taking a holistic view and making this unique to you and your situation. And you're not just another person, going through the process. We want to focus on you and what you're looking to accomplish. Other thoughts, Troy? Oh, you're on mute. Whoops.
Sorry about that. I put myself on mute to respond to some questions, so I apologize for the silence there, but great questions coming in. There's some things that it looks like we're going to be following up with some folks individually because really great, but also very involved questions. One thing though that I want to highlight, part of the question we just received is, how does this relate to where I live in California? And that's a great question because a lot of different states do things differently. They're not the same everywhere.
Mhm.
Different countries approach things differently in these modalities. So, uh,
Mhm.
a lot of the questions that we get, we can easily answer yes, no. Some of the questions we get, that's the purpose of our admissions advisor, is to help point you toward where do we find that information for your specific location. But just a really quick overview answer to one question we got. Um, our programs are accredited by the DEAC. So
Yep.
great.
And we're authorized as an accredited online college across all 50 states. Every state recognizes our college and programs. But for definitely individual questions about scope of work, understanding certain laws or exams where you're located, we can help you one-on-one in those unique situations to provide you the most up-to-date, accurate information for you specifically.
But keep them coming. I love to see the questions.
So here's where the professional credentialing comes in and is very important, because we want to not only help you make the best return on your investment in terms of earning these credentials and gaining these sets of knowledge and skills along the way, but to boost your professional resume and get you involved in the industry as soon as possible. So depending on your previous education background and which certificate or diploma that you earn, we can have you on a pathway to qualify to sit for these different exams or professional journeys to gain these credentials. For example, our students that complete the certificate in aromatherapy or the diploma in aromatherapy, depending on your anatomy and physiology in the background, our students, as soon as they finish that minimum, the diploma program, can sit for the exam to be a registered aromatherapist. So we also will take into account the different exams or professional organizations you want to achieve membership with, be aligned with, sit for exams, follow different career pathways. Again, we'll help you figure out what credentials will help you get there sooner rather than later. And then you can know that you've already sat for these exams, for example, or have these memberships as you finish your schooling up. It's actually pretty amazing, and it's a great way to get involved and start using that education to see clients or be building your business. Again, sooner rather than later. I know that these pathways are a little bit unique depending on what program, major, specialty area you personally want to focus in on. But again, this is where I'd highlight where your admissions advisor, or if you're a current student in student services, we can support you one-on-one and even get you in touch with like career services and such if we need additional support to help you with your goals. Again, we're just going back to the foundation of who we are and helping people achieve their professional and personal goals in a timely manner and getting these things checked off as you build your education and milestones along the way.
Right. So we have a visual here. So this relates very closely to some situations that we've had where um, we've been talking about this incremental milestone approach or building along the way. But the most common question we get is, well, I don't want to, do I have to take the classes over again, at each individual level? So the answer to that really quickly is no. So this is just an example. So somebody who, let's say their ultimate goal is to get a bachelor's of science in holistic nutrition with us.
Mhm.
Right off the bat, that's a 120 credit program that if you take it at full capacity, you're taking a full load every single term and don't take any time off, is going to take you what, Amanda, 3.5 years?
Yep, if you're full-time.
If you're full-time. Most
Students
of our
are,
students are not full-time. Most of our students are working. So they're taking either a three-quarter load or a half load.
Mhm.
So that can take even longer. Nothing wrong with that. If your eventual goal is to get to a bachelor's, we want to help you get there. Um, but the way that we typically want to approach that is, let's get you started with a certificate in holistic nutrition consulting, because that's only 16 credits. And after 16 credits, you will have that certificate. And we can push those credits into the next program. You will not have to take anything that you've already taken again. So what that would leave you, now that you've stepped into the Diploma of Holistic Health Practice, is 12 additional credits over and above what you've already taken. Once you're done with that, those 27 credits can be applied to an associate's.
Mhm.
You would have 33 left to take. Push those 60 into the bachelor's, and then you would be about halfway through. So the question is, well, why do it this way? Well, time after time, we've met with thousands of students just last year. And lots of different, personal journeys going on, a lot of different backgrounds. And what we know is that life is going to continue to happen regardless of your planning. So even if we have the best possible plan for you, something could also pull you away. Um,
Mhm.
the reason we recommend this, or one of the reasons, is let's say you're 3 years into that bachelor's plan and then something happens and you're not able to continue your education either at all or for a period of time. Unfortunately, if you had started with the bachelor's, you really don't have any credential at that point that you can point to as completed. You have knowledge, which is great. You have applicable knowledge, which is great. But if that credential is important to you, you will not have reached it. Taking
Mhm.
this approach, if that were to happen in year three, you have three credentials that you have completed under your belt and that you can be putting on your resume, applying to jobs for, so forth. And then as things come back into view, things die down, things get a little easier for you. You can always come back and finish those credits later. So,
And honestly, another huge win is our certificate and diploma programs, again, are very career focused. You're not taking gen ed requirements with the credentialing.
right,
So for my students, I have some students that that's why they just have not had the most, they just don't learn that way. They don't want to be forced to take history and English and, history, environmental sciences just to get into the good stuff.
right.
So our certificates are the core classes. So for example, the certificate of holistic nutrition, you're taking the core holistic nutrition classes. You're taking a course called Holistic Health Consulting and Business Skills and a coaching class. We
Mhm.
literally are giving you a very focused curriculum that is directly applicable to be used professionally. And then same with the diploma. That diploma jumps up from the certificate and now includes some your anatomy and physiology, your pathophysiology classes. So, and at each step of the way, it allows you to reevaluate your goals. I have some students that are like, I have what I need. I want to take a term off to build up my business. And I'm going to then hop back into the associate's degree in 3 months. So
Right,
it also gives you that space to determine where are you at professionally, where are you at with the time and money you've invested, and what feels best based on your professional goals or the job you want to move into or career you want to move into as you build your credentialing. A great example is I've had a handful of students finish diploma programs and get amazing entry-level positions at even like wellness centers or chiropractic offices. And so it allows them to get their foot in the door, and then their employers know that they're finishing out their degrees. And I've had a couple students get in mutual agreements with their employer that upon completion of their degrees, they'll get their own office space, for example, to start seeing clients. So it just, again, earning these credentials can help you with your being a self-employed, building your own company, or getting your foot in the door as you navigate and pivot careers, because sometimes it can be hard finishing out 4 or 5 years in a bachelor's degree and maybe really not being happy where you're at in your current role. So just allowing that wiggle room for you too. But if
right.
you don't take any breaks, you'll finish your program. You don't have to take any semesters off. We can help you as a returning student roll right into the next program with no huge hiccups or bumps in the road at all.
Right. It's interesting to see how the workforce is shifting as we speak, as a matter of fact. We've seen this shift even in the last few years. to where, you know,
Mhm.
companies that don't have anything to do with health and wellness are adding on health and wellness initiatives to their company to help with their employees' well-being. And a lot of graduates from ACHS would be, you know, greatly positioned to be one of those consultants in-house. But we also see the other wing of the workforce changing, which is, you know, the influencer route. You know, you may have a really great voice, a really great following, or the ability to create a following with a cell phone and an Instagram account, for example. And, you know, building a client base that way, and maybe is, you know, subscription to a coaching service, or you know, an ebook that you've written that people can purchase from your site. That's why we see all the time students that come in with one particular goal say, you know what? I think I'm going to go another direction because I have this following that I've built up through my passion for
Mhm.
aromatherapy, herbal medicine, nutrition, whatever it may be. So, so interesting to see how things change and how we can prepare people for
And
a lot
there's
of
such
different
a
facets.
huge movement across the nation for focusing on for companies to even refocus and reevaluate the requirement for like bachelor's degrees. Can certificates in that professional focused knowledge, you know, move you into that role immediately or help you pivot? Another great example is I've had students that work in HR want to do more of a health and wellness focus because, like Troy mentioned, there are very large and small corporations that have added in full wellness departments.
Mhm.
So they have, and that's part of HR, to be honest. And so they're building curriculum classes because stress and emotional management with employees, the research shows happier employees have less stress, they miss less work, there are less injuries at work when they have some of the physical programs. So there are companies that have those well, that for strength training, stretching, and just taking care of themselves. So huge change in our culture around that.
Mhm. So let's jump forward a little bit and start looking at what are some of these certificates if you haven't had a chance to look at it. What I would say before we jump in here is if you've been interested in or passionate about one of these areas or multiple areas that we teach, and you're not sure where to get started, one of these programs we're about to look at is generally the best place to start. Now, there are situations where, depending on, you know, prior education that you have, transfer credit, one of these may not be the best fit, but that's what our advisors can help out with. But if you're on the fence about, you know, should I start small or should I jump into the big one? Our recommendation is to look at these first and then kind of ladder from there.
Yeah. So we're pretty much, like Troy said, going to hit all the major modalities one by one. So you really have a good snapshot of what we offer. We have focused in aromatherapy. We have the certificate in aromatherapy, that's 16 credits. Our diploma in aromatherapy, which is like a stage above the certificate, and it's 9 or 27 credit hours. So the biggest difference is that diploma is 4 additional classes. And then at the graduate level, for students that already have master's degrees or even doctorates, or they're not quite ready to jump at all into a master's degree, that's not where they're at. We have a graduate level certificate in aromatherapy. And we're actually like the only college in the US that has graduate work in the aromatherapy field. We're really proud of that. So whether you have um, a bachelor's degree already or just your high school diploma, some college credits, we have options to get started at each level there. Next, we have our herbal programs. So aromatherapy is the study of the essential oils and therapeutic uses of those essential oils, because it really is like super condensed versions of that plant. We also have on the other side of the coin, herbal medicine. We have a couple certificate programs, certificate in herbal studies, the certificate in natural products manufacturing, which I like that program because it combines both herbs and aromatherapy. We have the diploma of herbal studies. So again, jumping from that certificate up to the diploma. The diploma is going to include all your sciences and your 300 level herbal classes. And then, of course, at the graduate level, we have the graduate certificate of herbal medicine, which is a total of 15 credits. Let's see here. Oh, and then we're going to jump to nutrition. That's our third primary modality we focus in on. We have the Certificate of Holistic Nutrition Consulting, and then that jump up is the Diploma of Holistic Health Practice. And that title is a little bit more broad because there are 3 electives, and students can prioritize and focus in on nutrition. If their goal with a student is to sit for the NANP exam, for example, we're going to make sure you choose the right electives to achieve that goal academically. But the holistic health practice is sort of a broad terminology that encompasses all areas of integrative and holistic health. So you may want to stay focused in nutrition, but it also gives you opportunity to maybe take an herbal medicine class. And then our graduate certificate in nutrition is only 12 credits. So again, students that already have their bachelor's degree or higher, just want to add on that niche, we're able to do that. Our integrative health and wellness programs are more broad versus being focused in one of those 3 modalities. And so these are sort of, honestly, some of my favorite programs. For students that want to work in the health and fitness field, we have the Certificate Integrative Health and Fitness Training, which incorporates classes like personal training, sports nutrition. We have the Certificate of Wellness Consulting, which is a fantastic fit for people that are already have a background in the medical field, because there are a couple classes with some prerequisites, but it's a fantastic broad program that we can make specialized to you. We have the Graduate Certificate of Integrative Health and Wellness. This program has been so popular at the graduate level because you take a nutrition class, an aromatherapy class, an herb class, an integrative health and wellness course, and then you have 1 elective. So it's extremely well-rounded and a fantastic way for graduate students to touch on every modality and have that skill set to bring into their current career or the work they're doing. And then for graduate students that want to focus on coaching, we have a graduate certificate that's specifically designed, focused on health and wellness education and coaching skills. So these are great options for people that don't have a single focus modality in mind. They want to be a little bit more well-rounded or touch on a few different things. Let's see here.
All right. Well, we've had several questions come in. I'm typing as fast as I can to answer, but since we've reached the questions section,
Yeah.
why don't we just talk about this? So hopefully I've answered your questions so far, but there's been a question about how long does a certificate take? And it will vary based on how many credits you take per semester. But Amanda, if someone takes 2 courses per semester in a undergraduate certificate, what are they looking at in terms of?
You're looking at taking up to a year to finish.
Mhm.
But if you're able to schedule your time, we can support you in building a schedule actually to complete an undergraduate certificate and some of the graduate certificates too, in as little as 6 months, so 2 semesters. So what we see most students do, and again, we will work with you individually because we want to make sure you're set up to thrive and maintain your grades and have balance, right? Life, work, family. But if you have a specific goal of finishing your first credential within literally that 6 months, we can help you do that by splitting it up and doing like 7 credits in the first term, 9 credits in the second term. But if we need to break it down a little bit more, we can schedule it out over 3 full semesters. We definitely just don't want you to feel alone in trying to navigate that. Your admissions advisor will coach you and help you pick the right schedule for you though.
Yeah.
But yeah, the goal would be to get you through in about 6 months and then transfer into the diploma and have, depending on the schedule you maintain from there, 2 or 3 classes, it could be another 6 months to a year to finish that diploma program.
So theoretically, in a year, have two completed programs if you have the time to devote to a full load.
Yeah.
We also had a question about the difference between a certificate and a grad certificate. Great question. It's basically just the credential that you have coming in. So if the certificates and diplomas, the only requirement there is a high school diploma or equivalent. Or if you've taken some college but not completed anything, the undergraduate certificate would be the right fit for you. The graduate certificates are for those that already have a bachelor's degree. And the question was, does it have to be a bachelor's degree from ACHS? No, it doesn't. So,
Mhm.
depending on what your bachelor's is in, might kind of point you to the what you're interested in. But no, it's just a bachelor's degree has to be completed to take a master's level course. And that's not necessarily just an ACHS thing.
Across
Department
US.
of Ed,
Yeah.
and yeah.
But I will say that graduate certificate is literally comprised of graduate level curriculum. And you can stack those credits as well. So if you start with the graduate certificate in aromatherapy, for example, 4 of those 5 classes can transfer into the Masters of Aromatherapy, or 5 of the 5 classes can transfer into the Masters of Integrative Health Sciences. So you can, because the graduate certificates are comprised of graduate level coursework, they can be applied as part of a master's degree later, or for students moving into the doctorate, sometimes up to 9 credits of the graduate certificate can be applied to the electives in the doctorate program. So just different options depending at the highest education you've earned up to this point. And then speaking of education, we had a really good question about, do I have to have a bachelor's degree from ACHS? No. As long as you've earned a bachelor's degree from an accredited college here in the US, or a school outside the US, bachelor's degree is from any institution that's recognized is appropriate to apply into the graduate level studies. So it's a really good question. We
Yeah.
have students that have finished a bachelor's with us, and we have students that bring in their degrees from all kinds of other
Well,
colleges.
and we've also had students that have taken all of the certificates. They'll do one certificate and then come back and do another one just because they
Mhm.
like those short form programs.
Yeah, I had a student the other day. She has no interest in taking math and history,
Right.
so she's got 4 different certificates and using
Just
those in her
just
business.
the specific content is all they want. The difference between integrative health and an herbal or nutrition certificate is a great question. The way we like to try to illustrate this is you have 3 main pillars: holistic nutrition, aromatherapy, and herbal medicine. Those are very specific and focused areas. Integrative health is sort of the umbrella over all of them. So if you have interest in everything, an integrative health program might be for you because that will allow you more elective choice. So you can take some herb, some aroma, and some nutrition if that's your approach. So think
Mhm.
about it as very specific versus general.
Mhm. Yeah.
Another great question, and I've written down some names because there's some folks I think we need to get back with for specific. But we have a student on the line on the webinar today who is enrolled in a BS in holistic nutrition and looking to kind of switch tracks to do one of the certificates. Alora, we'll be in touch and talk to you about how we might be able to do that.
Yeah. And then I've seen some people also discussing transfer of credit and asking questions around that. And I do want you to know that upon acceptance to a program, whether it's your first time being accepted to the college or you're a returning student being accepted to a new program, we always notify the registrar's office of that acceptance so we can get a full transfer of credit review. Whether that's understanding how previous credits you've earned at other colleges, including Hawthorne HUHS, or your other schooling or your ACHS credits, how those apply to the next program that you've enrolled in. So we always want to take the opportunity to maximize any potential credit you've put time and money into elsewhere to shorten your next program and save you time and money, I guess. So it's actually a very important part of the process. And I just wanted to acknowledge that because we have students that come in that have earned a lot of credit sometimes at other schools. If you're a graduate student, you've been to graduate school previously, we will review your previous graduate work compared to the graduate program here you were accepted to as well. So we literally take a look at that manually and very purposefully each step of the way.
And you may be addressing one of these already. We have two questions in a row about transfer credit.
Mhm.
Tamika is on the line who had courses transfer in from a diploma in medical assisting at another school, and will be completing the diploma in herbal studies in just 3 semesters. So that shows you kind of like how things can come in. And then Jason asked, if you have all the credits from a diploma, would you need to enroll in the diploma to take classes? The only issue there, Jason, is that you can only transfer in a certain percentage of a whole program. There are not a lot of schools out there that do exactly what we do, so it's rare that we have somebody that's taken everything that would be in a course. Amanda, that each degree level is a little bit different, but I believe 70% is the max that you can transfer in. Is that right?
Oh, there's a maximum for challenge exams and a separate maximum for transfer credit, and that comes down from the Department of Ed, actually.
Yeah.
So if
So,
there are classes from here that stack, we
right.
can roll all those over, but that's why we also reevaluate your transfer credit at each stage, because the number of credits we can accept towards the bachelor's degree is different than the associates. And there might be credits that apply differently as well because of different requirements.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But it's a good question. It's also a scenario where like we said before, depending on what you have coming in and what you've taken, a certificate may or may not be the best place to start, or a diploma. You may want to jump right into associates if you've already kind of achieved some levels before here, but that's an individual one-to-one scenario we'd work through with you.
for sure. And
Um,
then
if
it
you
looks
took
like
if you took a graduate level essential oil course at HUHS, who we have a lot of HUS former students with us. Will they apply to the graduate certificate?
it
Absolutely.
depends if they
It
were
depends
undergrad
on,
or graduate, to be
yeah,
honest.
they would need to be a graduate level course to apply to the graduate certificate. But yes, anything that you've taken would be evaluated for potential transfer.
Nicole had a great question. Does ACHS help with practicums for the holistic nutrition diploma program? Within the program, we have practicums, labs, case studies that may be part of the practical work. That's part of the course requirements. I'm assuming you, Nicole, and tell me if I'm wrong, you may be specifically asking about the requirements once you pass the board exam with the NANP. So our students are not required to get those hours before they sit for the exam. That's what's awesome about our alignment is our program is educationally meets all their requirements. So our students can sit for that exam immediately. And we do have a career services that can support you. The NANP themselves, since that is their requirements, not ours educationally, they also have support services. But I will say, Dr. Ludwig, our program dean of the holistic nutrition department, she is actually, I believe, on the board of the NANP. She's very involved. And so she also is an amazing resource in supporting students that have questions around the hours they need to get. But we also, honestly, most students are going to gain their hours just by starting to see clients. You are not required to do those hours under an internship or a mentorship. So if you pass your exam, you build your business, and you have clients, you can start collecting your indirect and direct hours by literally working as a professional in the field. A lot of people don't realize that, and they think they have to go through special pathways to do it. Good
Great
question.
questions. I think this is the most lively question session we've had in quite a while. I appreciate it.
New year.
It tells us, what's on your mind, and we're happy to answer. And then, as I've said before, I've written down some names that look like we need to reach out to, but anyone's welcome to set up a meeting with an advisor on our
Yeah,
website.
please
Um,
do not be shy. We want to make sure we support each of you individually and get all the information you need. That's a really big part of how we work with people is that transparency and support one-on-one.
So as we sort of reach the end of our time, we'll just quickly go over, if you're already a student here, you probably already know this. So maybe repetitive for you, but if you're not and you're thinking, how do I get started with this? Um, the we've talked about this a little bit along the way. These are the admissions requirements for these two different levels. One note that we have here, um, that the certificate in wellness consulting, there's a recommendation that if you're going to take that you have a background in anatomy and physiology. It's not required, but it's just, for kind of recommended for success on that one. So a little bit, it's not a requirement for admission, but it's just something we like to let people know.
Yeah.
Um, so how do you get started? If you're wanting to just get the wheels turning, speak to an advisor or go ahead and just start your application. There's no fee for the application and it doesn't obligate you to a program, but what it will do is ask you some questions about your interest, the time that you have to devote to school. It has some disclosures about what kind of technology is recommended, things like that. There's a lot of information in the application. Take your time, put your best answers into the essay type questions. It should take you about 30 minutes to complete your application, so not too crazy. But that would be the best way to kick it off. And you can also start, whether you've applied or not, you can also start requesting your transcripts to be sent to us. We'll need official transcripts. So if you're not familiar with that, they just can't come to you first. Whether you open them or not, they have to come directly from your school to us. Um, Either in the mail, if they are sent electronically, they do need to come through an approved servicer like Parchment. Uh,
Mhm.
and your former
That's the,
school, each school that you've been to has their own transfer of credit or transcript request forms. We can help you find those if they're
yeah.
not findable on the website.
Yeah, about 85% of the time, most schools, you can order everything electronically. They may be sent through one of the secure services like Clearinghouse or Parchment. They may take the order electronically, but put the transcript in the mail. Just please be aware, we cannot accept transcripts through just like traditional email. It's not considered secure. And we cannot accept copies of transcripts from students as official. So if you have any questions or need any support at all, please check with your admissions advisor or reach out to me directly and we'll help you. We want to make the process as easy as possible, and less stressful, honestly.
And then I have on here, meet with your admissions advisor. So we do get questions sometimes like, hey, I'm good to go. I know what I want to do. I don't need to meet with anybody. It is actually a requirement that you meet with someone because there are some things we want to ask and some things that we want to tell you before um,
Mhm.
you can be considered for admission. So keep that in mind. Um, we need a copy of a government ID. We actually don't need the programmatic disclosures anymore. I'll trim that down. But why do we need the ID? We get that question a lot. We're an online school, so we don't have student IDs the way that a lot of schools might, but mainly it's for proctoring of exams, so that we can. One of the requirements for technology is that you have a webcam, which most computers have standard these days, but we have a proctoring service that will check your ID versus whoever is on the screen just to verify that you are the person who signed up to take the class.
And we're also responsible to make sure you say who you say you are, depending on if you're using employer education benefits, military benefits,
Exactly.
federal financial aid. So we're just doing our due diligence to protect you as well, to be totally honest.
Yeah. And then lastly, this is not something you would need to do up front, an academic plan and funding plan. That we will help you with. That's one of the main reasons we want to meet with you individually,
Mhm.
um, is to help build that. Everybody's academic plan is going to be unique to them, and it has to come through, examining what the need is. Funding, there are a lot of different ways to fund your education. Actually, I think in February, we're going to do another webinar on that, so I won't go too deep into it, but join us for that as well. Um, but we have financial aid and business office advisors that can help with that as well, whether you're doing federal aid or whether you're doing self-pay options. Um, that will be in place before we can register you.
Yep. We don't want anyone in a uncomfortable position. We're always going to make sure everything, all loose ends are tied, funding secured before we finalize enrollment to just again help you be in the best position possible with no stress.
Right. We have the next two starts that are coming up, are what we're kind of focused on right now. Spring 2 is what we call an accelerated term or a mini term. It sits in between the spring and the summer semesters. The benefit there is it's an on-ramp that you don't have to wait until May to get started if you missed the spring start. So that'll start at the end of February. If that sounds great to you and you're ready to get rolling, our recommendation is to get that application and transcripts into us by the 31st, if at all possible. If you miss that deadline, it does not mean we can't work with you. It just that gives us the maximum amount of time to make sure we cover all the bases. And then we'll have a registration target deadline of February 6th. If you are a current student, those registration deadlines are very important because you do need to confirm your registration by that date. For new students, we also want to get registered by that date if at all possible. But if we're not able to, we can still work with you up to the start of class. But we may not be able to guarantee space in the class. Summer begins on May 5th, and the same kind of thing, March 28th and April 4th for those two sort of guidepost deadlines.
Just to highlight for those of us or those of you watching today that already has a certificate program in mind, I just want to reiterate, this is the unique time of the year that if you do jump into the first couple classes in the spring 2 session, you can take the remaining classes in summer and potentially graduate in August with your first credential. Sort of perfect timing for that.
Yeah. And lastly, this is our amazing team. You heard me say earlier in the webinar that we meet with thousands of people a year, and this is the team that does it for our new student. So 6 people. I think that we've had questions before that they think we have 47 people in admissions, or we have these 6 people. They're amazing. They handle so many questions, but it's important to us to provide individual personal support rather than just figure it out yourself and send us your deposit. These folks right here are dedicated to meeting with you, determining the right fit.
Yeah, we really care about you as an individual, and you're not shoved to a website. You're not shoved to figure everything out just over email. We're here to work with you one-on-one, and we take a lot of pride in honestly providing that support. And our team comes with all different backgrounds. Some are in education, some are in counseling, health and wellness. So really a huge variety of experience that they bring to support you too, which is my favorite thing about that.
And lastly, our socials. It's all listed here. One that I would recommend taking a peek at if you haven't already is our YouTube our channel, ACHS TV. If you go to YouTube and just search ACHS TV, you'll find it. We have decades worth of content on there, many years prior, webinars, things like that, short videos, long videos. It's very cool. Check it out when you have a chance. We appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us today. We love the questions. Thank you for being participatory. We'll reach out to the folks that look like they had individual questions as soon as we can. Have a great day, everyone.
Take care.